from the love of your mother. So the kid would say, oh, T is a sissy, he's scared of his mama. Yeah. Now, Judge, let me tell you something. I was 13 years old then. I said, I'm not a sissy, I'm not scared of my mother. I said, I love my mother. I said, evidently you don't love your mother, because if you love your mother, you would be trying to get me to do nothing bad. So you got to take a stand, because that's usually sitting there say, no, I'm going to let some little snotty old kid pull me in for the love of my mother, you know, because you got a couple bucks and whatnot. I said, no, I see you. And I'm glad I said no, and the continuous no. Where them guys at now? In jail. See how I talk? If you learn something about guys, and I watch guys like growing up. Any guy who disrespects his mother, he gonna disrespect anybody. I find out guy, I was buddy, I talk to him, I say, man, you gotta go back and apologize to your mother. No, I mean, shit, I had to leave him alone. You can't say you're my friend and disrespect your mother. You know, like I said, that's why I say I'm a mama's boy. Even with type of movie, I won't do certain movies, I won't do certain things.
I love my mother.
Definitely. That's right, brother. You know. So
a lot.
Yes.
A lot I love her.
Yes. She was my mother. I remember when we was like I said, we was poor financially, but we was rich spiritually.
Yeah.
It was my mother taught me how to be thankful.
My mom did too.
My mother taught me how to be thankful, taught me how to pray. You know, so as I growing up, I said, that's why I said, no, I want to take care of your mother. I'm going to be a good little boy, you know, because I would visualize, I was growing up, visualize if I did something wrong, I wind up in jail. I visualized my mother coming to see me with one button on her coat with her legs hurting. See, my mother, she was new house cleaning, but back then, they didn't call her maid. My mother, and when I say this, I'm not being racist, I'm making a point where I come from.
Sure.
My mother, they used to call them scrub women. Because that's what they did, they scrubbed. My mother was not allowed to go in the white people's front door. She had to go around the back door. My mother was not allowed to look white people in the eye. She had to go down and really get on her hands and knees and scrub the floors. Yeah. So when I tell my mother I love her, how can I say I love her to go out there and get to robbing and breaking and stealing something? My mother told me, after I told her, I said, Mama, I'm going to buy you a big house, I'm going to do things for you. Then she told me, she said, son, if you want something, you work hard, save your money, and get it. She didn't say steal. She didn't say, yeah, go to the suburbs, the white folks got it, go steal from there. And she was still, even though we was poor, Brother Dwight, she would check, make sure I'm doing my homework. Make sure that you say your prayers tonight. Yep. That's what my mother said. I would go to school, there was no food there and whatnot, but my mother, she loved me. When I see my mother knocking on the neighbor's door to borrow money, and I'm in high school, I'm the captain of the football team, captain of the wrestling team, but didn't have money to go to school and whatnot. My mother would borrow money from the neighbors and stuff like that. I said, no, mother, I'm going to take care of you. I didn't say, well, let the other brothers and sisters do that. I said, I'm going to do that. So that's what drove me. After I showed the letter, I said, I'm doing this here. So I started thinking, I'm going to take care of my mother. I'm going to do good in school. I'm going to stop getting good grades. I'm doing all this here. So now after I got out of college and whatnot, I became a bodyguard. You know, I used to bodyguard people, whatnot, rich people. You take diamond merchants from New York and all this stuff. You know, word got around and stuff like that. Then I used to work at a disco. They had a contest called the toughest bouncer in America. You know, so humbly, I won that contest 2 years in a row. And I say humbly, even though the contest was called the toughest bouncer in America, I didn't win that contest because I was the toughest, the baddest, or the roughest. I won that contest, Brother Dwight, because my cause, C-A-U-S-E, my cause was greater than anybody else's cause. When I started training for that contest, I have a church in Chicago, Cosmopolitan Community Church, Pastor Henry Hardy. I call her Pastor, I said, Pastor Hardy, they having a contest. And when I win this contest, I'm going to give you the money so you can buy food and clothes for less fortunate people in the community. I didn't have a car then. And I won that contest, and I gave the money to my church. I freely gave. The next thing I know, 3 weeks later, I get a call at the disco. They say they Sylvester Stallone, they want to put me in this here movie, Rocky 3. They say he was watching me doing the contest. He said, wow, that guy's different, and he can talk. You know, so anyway, so anyway, so I came out.
He can talk.
Yeah, so I came out. So I came out and all that stuff, you know, auditioned, and long story short, so I got to party Rocky, and then I did a good job and all that. Then I came home, I was on my way home, I said, wow, I'm about to mother that house. Then the guy from the A-team saw Rocky, he said, wow, if I can get that guy, Mr. T, you know. So then the A-team started and stuff like that. Then my life took another change. That was the first change when I gave the money to the church and all that stuff. Then the other change in my life came, and I think the first year of the A-team, about 1983. So now I'm Mr. T, the kids know me from Rocky, they know me from the A-team, little kids will come around. So all of a sudden I would see kids, they would come to the set. Then one day my agent said, there's a little kid want to see you. I said, okay, well, all right, bring him. Then he said, but he's dying. I said, wow. So he didn't know, you know, most they think they're protecting somebody and say, we'll tell them you're busy. I said, no, don't do that. Yeah. So I called my same pastor who I gave the money to. I said, Pastor Hardy, there's a kid that's dying. What do I say to him? See, Brother Dwight, I'm smart enough to know, I don't know what to say to this kid. I can't tell this kid the same thing I tell other kids. Other kids, I would say, hey, little buddy, feel that muscle. We're going to be up the bad guy, you know. I couldn't say it, nor could I didn't want to come to the kid and say, I'm sorry, and get to crying and whatnot. Yeah. So my pastor, he prayed, he said, T, evidently this kid see the God qualities in you that you don't even see in yourself. And Brother Dwight, I didn't see it. I mean, I believed in God. I would pray and I would feed to home and stuff like that. But I felt God was taking me to another level. Because the kids saw the God quality. Even though I was tough and whatnot, I looked tough and all that. Matter of fact, because of the children turned their parents on to Mr. T. Because I must admit, I was looking kind of frightening if I say myself. You know, I had the earrings, had the gold and whatnot.
Oh, wow. And the jewelry hanging.
Yeah. You know, but it's so in the little kid, so the little kid came, so the pastor told me, so he prayed with me. So the little kid came out, so I loved on him, and I prayed with him. I said, be strong, little buddy, as I love you and God love you. And I drove around in the van and all that stuff, trying to make him smile and stuff like that. And then later, about 2 weeks later, the paramedics came out and brought him and said, wow, Mr. T got bad news. I want to tell you, little Ryan died. Then tough guy, Mr. T, I started crying. And the paramedic helped me and said, oh, but that's all he talked about, that he met his hero, that he met you and whatnot. Then other kids would come through the Make-A-Wish Foundation and Starlight Foundation. That's when I found out I said, I'm more than just some big, black, tough guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, that the kids see that this godness in me, this goodness in me. Sure, don't get me wrong, I am tough. If you mess with me, I know how to fight.
I'm not,
but like I say, I'm saying, but I don't go around, I'm not a predator. I'm not a predator. You don't read about me fighting nobody else. If you ever hear about me in a fight, somebody jump me. Somebody jump me. I drive, I obey and stuff like that.
He was looking straight at me when he was saying all that stuff.
You know, but like I said, because I
love you.
And I love you too. Because everything boiled back to my mother,
We're buddies.
You be blessed, black and white together, ebony and ivory. Yes, definitely, brother. See, everything go back to my mother. Then I would tell my mother how I met this little boy, and other kids would come. They would come and I would love on them and all that. And then the speed thing is up. Now we speed up, and I can see little kids with cancer and tell them I love them and God love them and all that. So now we speed up 1995.